I've tried to record this video like 3 times now. This one's gonna stick. This one's gonna be the one. Third time's the charm. Or so they say. They also say bad things come in threes, so I guess we'll see. You should make a cathartic cry playlist. Hello. Have I summoned ye with my broken heart, my crumbling spirit? I don't need your emotional support because I have a cathartic cry playlist. I'm Max. I'm an adult, bumbling my way through adulthood. I've christened myself the bumbling adult because I'm dramatic and I love a good dramatic and accurate title. Somewhat related, I also love dramatic music. And to sit and listen to it like I'm the muse of a devastating music video for a devastating song. And I know I'm not alone in that, and I know that because it works. No, like scientifically. It has actually been studied and verified that listening to sad music can help you to move through your emotions, boost hormones that help you cope with grief and pain. Not that we necessarily needed the science to tell us that. Music has been used to help people deal with and express their emotions for time immemorial, but it is nice to have that verification. And I know some of you stern folk need a good logical reason to just break down to a solid jam. So there it is. If you're emotionally constipated, if you are experiencing depression, grief, the crushing weight of realizing that the world is not everything that you were promised it would be, and you're anxious or lonely or all of the above, you can take a walk, you can stretch, you can get 5 minutes of sunlight, maybe start with 2. It's a little cold outside, it's winter. Start with 2 if it's difficult, and work your way up. Wash your face and brush your teeth if you haven't already. And you can make yourself a playlist to help you confront and move through some of those emotions that you're feeling. Take what resonates with you, do at least one of them, go on. Now then, my playlist is called A Cathartic Cry, because that's what it's for. A beautiful thing, my baby. I made it for the purpose of literally moving through my emotions. So much so that the last few songs are meant to put me in a more, let's say, stable place from where I started. Full transparency, sometimes I skip those hoes because I was just not there yet. And that's okay. Whose pace do you need to worry about but your own? Alright, so coming in hot, song number 1. Song number 1 is 26 by Paramore. I have to laugh because you can't really come in hot with that song. 26 is like a letter to depression and how it seems to knock the wind from your sails, the air from your lungs, makes the person that you thought you were feel like a relic from the distant past, and addresses kind of missing the person that you thought that you were and all of the things that you were capable of, which is striking because for the longest time, I honestly felt like I was an adult, navigating the responsibilities of an adult with the capabilities of a child. I know that's pretty much always a given when you're just stepping into adulthood, you know, when you are 18 and you are moving through life freshly adulted, but it seems like there's such a big regression with confidence and with skill that come with depression that I feel like isn't really mentioned nearly enough. I think so many of my skills, especially the ability to make decisions and to act accordingly, were greatly hindered by my depression. I feel like that needs to be talked about more. This song has been my sad girl anthem since Hayley Williams was 26. I hate that she went through it, but some of the greatest artist pain in them lyrics. Musically, it's, as you can expect, very melancholy. It's lonely, it's wistful, it's contemplative. It's one of those songs that is beautiful because of its simplicity and the sort of intimate feeling that comes with that. It's really such a gorgeous song. If you're into like folksy, indie type of music, you should definitely give it a listen. Give it a listen anyway. It's a good song. Just give it a shot. Now, song number 2 on my playlist was Best Days by Alessia Cara. As you can see, things evolve. And where I feel like I once resonated with it extremely heavily, I think I started resonating with it a little less, which is honestly kind of surprising to me because I stopped listening to this playlist for a while, went back to it, and was like, I could have sworn that this song was on it. Best Days by Alessia Cara is lyrically, I feel like, such a necessary song when it comes to confronting any kind of life pains. It goes hand in hand with so much, and it's so easy to apply it to almost any circumstance that you're going through, especially when it feels extremely heavy. It confronts the idea of uncertainty in life and of all of what are potentially your best moments and all of time essentially passing you by. I'm laughing because these are heavy topics and I'm a little uncomfortable. It's been a while since I've talked emotions on the internet, but it addresses these things in a way that is very melodic and contemplative. I'm going to be using those words a lot, actually. It's a bit ballady. It builds up from piano to strings in a very classical way, and Alessia's voice really does an incredible job of showing and addressing the sort of sadness and fear that comes with addressing this sort of worst case scenario of, what if my best days are behind me? What if it doesn't get any better? And it makes perfect sense to consider this question when you are in the depths of depression, right? And I think this is the reason why I ended up taking it off of my playlist and then forgetting that I took it off. But as you start to feel a little better and as you start to feel a little bit more stable, you also start to realize that things can go the other way. You know, things can and likely will get better. Or I guess more specifically, you are not at the end of your happy moments. They're going to coexist with your saddest moments. My current song number 2 after Best Days Got the Axe is Thick Skull by Paramore. Again, what can I say? They do a really great job of encompassing some of the roughest emotions. It became sort of an immediate addition to the playlist as soon as the album came out and was perfect for me in a time where I was grieving some relationships, and it really helped me process so much about my relationships, not only with other people but with myself and with some of the habits that I would really like to kick. Because the song addresses being stuck, feeling stuck in a sort of never-ending cycle based on decisions that you make. It kind of talks or speaks on a pain that you experience when you just haven't learned a lesson yet. It's about struggling to learn a lesson and getting hurt repeatedly as a result. And there's so much raw and emotional power in the lyrics and the instrumentals. And on top of that, the vocals. It's one of the most emotional laden songs for me on pretty much every level. It's definitely more of a heavy rock style song, so I know it might be off-putting to some, but it's definitely worth a listen. Alright, so third we have Who We Are by Hozier. Hozier always tends to make more like bluesy, folksy stuff. His music and lyricism has pretty much always blown me away. Honestly, for the longest time, I was in denial because I've never had a favorite artist. Couldn't fathom having a favorite artist for like most of my life. Then he comes along, or rather I start listening to him, and he has been a favorite for at least 5 years now. I feel like I could have an honest moment with that, but I won't. Who We Are lyrically brings to mind this distinct sadness of chasing a lifestyle or an idea because you're told that that's how it should be, only to look up one day and realize that you never really got what was promised. You likely won't get what was promised, and you've lost all this time. It's extremely relevant, as a lot of Hozier's songs are, in an era where young people can't seem to find that security after going through so many of the motions that they were promised would lead to not even necessarily success, but just stability. At least that's what it brings to mind for me. As for the sound, it's really, I don't know how to describe it. Stunning. It's emotional. Hozier has a really incredible voice, and the instrumentals, to me, really do a good job of encompassing feeling disappointed, feeling betrayed. If it isn't clear, my reviews are based on purely vibes, so if it sounds like nonsense to you, that's probably why, but I'm doing my best. Let's get into song number 4, which is Leave It Alone by Hayley Williams. This one confronts grief and finding the difficult balance between living, finding the will to live, and dealing with all the aches and pains that come with it. Because I don't think a lot of people realize this, but healing, coming out of depression, rather the step past just wanting to disappear from the world, isn't just pure acceptance and appreciation for life with all of its faults. Oftentimes, it's confronting those habitual thoughts and, somewhat ironically, trying to combat them even when the world and everything that's going on seems dead set on proving them right. As far as the sound, again, I'm not quite sure how I would describe it. This whole album, I think, is pretty experimental, and this song follows along the same vein. It's unique. It has something of like a jazzy, funk-esque style, while still being kind of dark and moody and contemplative. For the listener of, I guess, more mainstream music, this one might also be a bit of an oddity. But as always, it's worth a listen at least once. The next few songs kind of speak for themselves. They are really straightforward lyrically and sonically, and honestly, that's what makes them hit, I think, right where they're meant to, and what makes them so beautiful to me. A couple of them are like, I think they were probably TikTok famous at one point or another, so you might have heard them. Anyways, because they are so straightforward, I'm not quite sure how deep I can get into them without losing it. So yeah, let's go. Song number 5, I think. Could technically be 6, I don't know. Anyways, it's called If Depression Gets the Best of Me by, I want to say, Zevia. I'm sorry if I've got the pronunciation wrong. I'm recording on my phone, so I can't even Google it right now. As the title suggests, this is a song from the perspective of a girl contemplating suicide and saying her goodbyes. It's beautiful, heart-wrenching, straightforward, and was cathartic to me for obvious reasons. Definitely proved to be an outlet in those much darker seasons. The 6th song is People by Libianca. This one is cathartic for the loneliness it portrays when you are in a dark space and nobody seems to notice or care. It's also kind of a sentiment that I fight with a little bit because it feels very self-serving, if that makes sense. Very much like a pity party when I listen to it, but I guess that's the point. On the one hand, you want people to reach out to you. You want people to notice these signs and to ask if you're okay. And for all intents and purposes, especially the people that are closest to you, they should notice these things. And sometimes they just don't, and it's not something to be taken personally. But it also just kind of sucks to experience it. I don't know, I'm probably reading too much into it. There is nothing bad with feeling hurt by having your pain missed, but it's also super important to reach out when you feel like you need help. And I don't know, that's something that we need to learn. That's something that I need to learn personally. It's hard, and I know it's hard, but I feel like I have to listen to that song with the knowledge that I also have to be more forthcoming when I'm dealing with pain. And it's also a good reminder that you need to look for the signs of somebody else's pain as well, you know? That's the world of community building, of building lasting friendships and relationships. It's a gorgeous song to me. The chorus, Libianca's voice, and also I tend to have a soft spot for Afro beats, so that definitely helps. Song 7 is called Honest by Songhouse and Kyndal Inskeep. When I listen to this song, I think of like the breaking point of the main character of like a young adult novel or movie, you know, when they start to realize that they are not keeping it together. That main character is you. It's me. It's all of us. Sound-wise, hello. Sound-wise, it's... What are you doing? Why are you behaving this way? Sound-wise, it's one of those songs that sounds like a million other songs and yet no other song at the same time, particularly from like the 2010s era, I want to say. If you liked Demi Lovato Skyscraper era stuff, then you'll probably like this song. Powerful vocals. The lyrics, again, are straightforward. It's a good listen, and it's pretty safe. It's beautiful. Kyndal has, again, an incredible voice. So yeah, definitely check that one out. Everything I Wanted by Billie Eilish. Again, if you listen to mainstream music, you've probably heard this one before. If you've heard anything from Billie Eilish, it's likely you've heard this one as well. Hell, if you listen to pop at all in the last 6 years, you might have heard this song. 6 years. 6 years is so crazy. Anyway, this song does a really good job of addressing depression and anxiety and how small those things can make you feel. But I also feel like it's a good transitional song, specifically because of the chorus, which lends a little bit of hope and camaraderie to the darkness. The all-consuming darkness. And it really is just sweet and supportive. So I personally felt like it moved pretty well into the next song, which is Eternal Sunshine by Jhene Aiko. This song is so wistful and calming. There's still a sense of abandonment here when it comes to life, to living, but I sort of associate it with a coming to peace. It's not necessarily happiness, but it's an acceptance and sort of a release of the need for control. I've talked a bit about the murder of my brother in previous videos. Songs like Eternal Sunshine were instrumental in helping me to get through or work with a lot of the grief that I was experiencing and how that experience changed my view of the world. I can't recommend it enough to anybody going through a hard time, but especially people who are experiencing grief. When we talk about feeling a closeness, not feeling alone in these kinds of things, I think that song is definitely helpful. Song number 10 is Crave by Paramore. Again, this song kind of feels like stepping out of darkness. It's very nostalgic, sort of focuses on looking back at the past and at all of the things that you experienced that made life worth living, and the things that you experience now that could just do more of the same, and the things that you can experience in the future. It's really soothing to me because it reminds me emotionally of all of the great moments that I've had and the moments that I would relive in a heartbeat, and really helps me to focus on and think about staying present so that more of those moments don't just pass me by, so that I get to really relish in them. Lastly, we have Promises, another Jhene Aiko song. This one is one of those that for a while I could not sing at all without breaking into tears. It's another incredible and really necessary take on grief and on finding the strength and reasons to get up and move forward every day. I absolutely adore this song and everything that it represents, and it ties off my cathartic cry playlist so well because it helps to shift my perspective to something a little bit more positive, but it still affirms the pain that I'm experiencing. It's sort of a reminder that both things can coexist, the pain and the reasons to go on. They can and they do coexist. It's beautiful, it's simple, it's extremely sweet. No further comments needed. So there you have it, ladies, gents, and NBs. The playlist I've used to help me cope with the most rough, unforgiving moments of the past few years. Let me know if you give any of the songs a listen. Tell me what you think. Give me some suggestions of your own if you have any. If you're going through a hard time, and let's face it, a lot of us are, especially right now, I hope this helps you a bit. I know times are tough. Take care of yourself. Rest. But don't forget to move. Thanks for watching, as always, and I'll see you next time.